Apparently I'm called Sam the Blogger. That's how... Because that video that I made was like on everything, and because the whole thing is about that I didn't give the police my name, nobody really was sure what my name was.
Sam Blogger.
So I became known as Sam the Blogger. So there we go.
So Sam, we're here at the Grove.
Well, we're not at the Grove, are we?
We're not at the Grove.
We're in a freedom of speech FEMA camp.
FEMA camp? Yeah? You've been here before, yeah? You walked around the grounds? Could you tell us a little bit about it?
I cannot confirm that I have, but just between you and me, I have been here before, yeah.
And you know a bit about history. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. If you go onto Google Maps and you look at this site from the imagery they have, I believe the imagery is from like 2005, but it's just before they built the golf course. And you'll see that it's got all these little lines on it. And on the Google map, these lines are the archaeological digs, because this is quite a historic site. In fact, they say, in their write-up on their website, a lot of people who have come into it, that they say, this is like where man first rubbed sticks together and made fire and stuff like that. They obviously embellish it, they ham it up. And they're basically saying that this is quite an ancient site to do with the Saxons, sort of the indigenous people that were here before William the Conqueror turned up in 1066. And they say, in the British Museum, they have the main artefact that they dug up here before they built the golf course, which was they found two Saxon leaders buried head to head with their heads touching. I have it from somebody I met here on that day when I came up to do my video, who says that he's a gentleman who lost his wife, and he knew the owners, and in his retirement he bought a piece of this land because he knows that at night time, he said to me that he's not a religious man, he doesn't really believe in anything like that, but he says that at night time, if you go out onto the grounds, you feel like you're drunk. He says if you feel light-headed and sort of more spiritual, but he says he's not a religious man. So they say there's something to do with it, and if you know anything about they say that under the thing that's special about this site, the reason it's called the Grove is because of the old trees. They say that the reason you feel happy and joyous in a rainforest is the connection beneath the ground of the trees, this mycelial layer, the mushroom interconnection and all that kind of stuff. But they say that there's something about it. The main house up there is actually where a lady called Queen Victoria invented something called weekending, which is going just to the outskirts of London for an extended weekend break. Okay, so long weekends. Queen Victoria used to come up here, then her son used to come up here, and her son Edward VII was very much they used to call him Dirty Bertie. He was into lewd, sort of dirty weekends. So Queen Victoria came up here for long weekends. Her son came up here for dirty weekends. So this is where aristocrats come for naughty weekends. And it was insinuated, it was owned by an aristocrat, the first Duke of Clarendon, and this was his estate. They wanted to build a big railway line through here. The first the succession of Duke of Clarendon, they outlawed it. So there's a big tunnel going under Watford because he designated this should remain untouched wilderness, and it's a very sort of wildlifey area. During the Second World War, this was used for transport intelligence. So the whole thing that was in charge of looking after the transport networks, being the trains and the roads during wartime, Second World War, this was their headquarters. So this has always been a pretty secretive sort of government intelligence area.
So when did it become a hotel?
I believe it was within the last less than 10 years ago, I believe.
Very recently.
You have to get that. Yeah, because they built the golf course. I'm not sure when it was, but it wasn't long. It was quite new. Tiger Woods won a big championship here, I believe it was in 2006. So I think it was just a few years before that or something like that it became a golf course, and it was corporately owned. The people who own it also own a famous club on Pall Mall in central London called the Athenaeum Club, which is where one of the first members of the Athenaeum Club was Charles Darwin. So the people who own these places are well into these sort of aristocrats, generally eugenicists, billionaires, billionaires who are into the shadier side of politics, you could say.
Right, well, it's really good to hear all that history.
Some info for you. You wanted info, I gave you info.
I mean, it is info, but for me personally, it's very interesting to learn all this.
Yeah.
What I did see, because the Google Earth thing that you're talking about, I did see. But in front of the grove, on top of the hill, there were also, because I saw these digs, I think, but they were scattered all over, and there were some that were very near to each other. I thought there might have been barracks there. That's very. I think
that is. If you look into archaeology, that's how they do it. They will go around and they do these sort of cursory, I don't know, these sort of magnetic resonance things to see what's under there, and then when they start honing down on it, they do more detailed ones, so that when they start to find something, you'll generally find that they home in on something. They do digs close to it.
Yeah, they do a trench.
What was the other thing you said? Yeah, for sure. What was the other thing you said?
It looks like there were barracks over there.
Yes, because it was in the Second World War, it was used for transport intelligence. They had dug a big bunker because this was filled with staff. Basically, this big communications hub. They put a mast on it for communications and stuff like that, and they had a bunker built. So there's a big Second World War bunker here, which is actually nobody's allowed in it.
The word armour group. When you mention armour group, they all look a bit nervous. Look at them now. They're nervous. They're looking. Do you know what armour group is? It is a subsidiary of G4S that does private mercenary work in Afghanistan and Iraq. They also do very, very nice shooting, professional looking managerial staff.